many shots? 125. We're still alive. It's the Hunter week.
Yeah. We're going to do Point Break, starring Keanu Reeves. Oh, wait, no.
Point Blank. Isn't there a movie like Point... It's like Gross Point Blank or something like that?
That's a good one.
Never heard of it. No. So as usual, guys, you know what? I'm just so blown away by all the people that watch this podcast, and we love you, and we wanna hear what you think of these movies and stuff. Give us your opinion and subscribe.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, baby. What is it? Okay, poll time. What do you think people? Do you think who people have seen Payback?
Maybe. I think it was pretty popular at the time, although that was 25 years ago almost.
Right. No one's, at least our viewers said no, but
you're like, no.
Point Blank is we've got like about a third of our audience had seen Point Blank.
Wow.
So
cool.
That's legit. Payback I feel like came out, but then it kind of like was kind of like under the radar to a degree, which is weird.
It was a pretty big hit, and it was big on DVD.
Right.
I remember this was a movie like when I was in college. We watched it in the dorms all the time. It was a big dorm movie.
I'd like heard of it, but I had never seen it. So just like Avatar 1, it's an underground hit.
Yeah, no one's seen that.
Hey, I stand by it. It's just like Avatar 2. We went and saw it, but who's talking about it now? Nobody.
Exactly.
Had no significance.
No cultural impact is what they say.
Kind of. It came out and shit the bed. Just made all the money. Little loser. But speaking of a man who's a complete loser, just kidding. The opposite of a complete loser. A Lee Marvin the Martian.
Lee weak.
Even though he's not in the sequel. Or not the sequel, I guess the reimagining. So let's talk about the original movie based on The Hunter by Donald E. Westlake, writing as Richard Stark. This is a film that came out in 1967, and like we said, starred Lee Marvin and co-starred Angie Dickinson, Keenan, Wynn, and Carroll O'Connor, which Carroll O'Connor is known for All in the Family and In the Heat of the Night TV show and stuff like that, among other things. But that's his big thing. And Lee Marvin, he's done a bunch of stuff. I mean, we did Prime Cut, and he was in
his most popular movie.
He was in that movie. That's where I first had kind of been like, holy shit. And Matt picked this, and
yeah.
Do you think this is his most famous film, or
no? That's probably Dirty Dozen is his most famous, which I think came out the same year, maybe.
Okay.
But I think Point Blank is my favorite of his, and I think probably his best film.
Yeah.
Prime Cut's pretty good.
Yeah.
Were you happy to see Carroll O'Connor pop up?
Oh yeah, he's my favorite.
That's why I picked this, because I was like, I know you like Lee Marvin. Hopefully you'd enjoy the movie, and if not, nothing else, at least your boy.
Yeah, Carroll O'Connor
will pop up.
It kind of sucks because he's only in it for a bit, but it's
the very end. He's
doing like his Archie Bunker accent to a degree here, because he's actually like English. So he's like, what's his name? Like Bob Hoskins, where like I didn't even know he was English until he did like interviews, because almost all the films he was in, he did like not an English accent. Yeah. Kind of like Christian Bale and stuff too.
Yeah. You're like, give me an answer!
Are you fucking talking to me?
But also, this movie's directed by John Boorman, who's a legend, because he directed Deliverance.
Legendary. Yeah, seriously.
Which I think is one of the best movies ever made. And he also did, right after Point Blank, he did another movie with Lee Marvin called Hell in the Pacific, which is basically him.
So like a war movie, I'm assuming?
Well, it takes place during World War II, but it's him and Toshiro Mifune, like an American and Japanese guy who are stuck on an island together. And they have a private battle
together.
Yeah. But yeah, John Boorman is awesome.
Sounds like a episode of The Twilight Zone or something.
Yeah, kind of seems like that. So, what'd you think of Point Blank?
Well, I will have to say, unlike his last name, he didn't bore this one.
Nice.
Great film. I know that. I mean, I think we're going to be praising this film quite a lot.
Really?
I think so.
Because I hate it.
Oh shit.
No.
Well, maybe we won't be. Maybe it sucks.
No, I think it's kind of a masterpiece.
I mean, now that you said that, it does kind of suck cock. But now that I think about it, it's like the worst film ever made. No, I thought it was great.
Nice.
It's kind of funny. It seems like a lot of the films we're praising are like older films. So I don't know if that's just a trend that keeps happening. But
just wait until next week when we'll be praising. Well, we'll find out.
You'll find out at the end of this episode what we're watching next week. What about you? What's your history with this film? You're like, well, I directed it at the young age of 0.
So I definitely saw Payback first because I saw that in theaters.
Oh, like the second making or like
it's not really
book to.
I don't know if you'd consider it a remake. It's just
another adaptation of that's. There are definitely similar things, but I think it's because they're both from the same source material. So,
but I didn't see Point Blank until maybe I don't know 5-10 years ago.
Oh wow!
But I'd always known about it, and I just didn't get to it till later. And then I was like, "Whoa!"
Did your dad ever watch it and talk about it? Or?
I don't think so.
Okay,
we saw Payback together, and we both really liked that one.
Like, Payback.
And spoiler alert, I really like Payback too, but I think this is a superior movie. But yeah, Point Blank is really cool.
Nice.
The end. What'd you think of Lee Marvin as Walker?
He was good. It was like, I don't know, he's like very driven, but almost to the point where it kind of doesn't like, I don't know. It's weird because like
it's a very simple story, and it's not like he has a character arc or anything like that. Like he's just
he's kind of like
a shark.
Yeah, driven to get stuff that at the end of the day, it's more about the principle. He doesn't really, it's because the amount of money isn't as important as the principle of him being like fucked over.
And the story is very simple. Like his friend screws him over, and he comes back and tries to get revenge. And
right.
If it wasn't for the weird editing in this movie, it would be very straightforward and simple.
Right. Yeah.
But did you know there's a fan theory that Lee Marvin is actually killed at the very beginning of the movie when he's shot, and the rest of it is his like dying vision, his fantasy.
It's like Carnival or whatever of souls.
Yeah. But I don't know if I believe that.
Huh.
But it's pretty cool. At the beginning of your movie, your hero is brutally gunned down and left for dead.
I feel like that happens in a couple films.
It happens in Payback. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it is kind of bullshit, but
But there is a little bit to that theory because he's able to like escape Alcatraz, which no one has ever done before.
Yeah.
So it's like, could he really do that, or did he actually die?
Well, who knows if those people survived or not that got off Alcatraz? They could have survived.
That's true.
They could have as easily drowned. Also, I thought it was kind of weird at the beginning when he like escapes. It's like he just swims. He doesn't even have any like flotation device.
Yeah,
he's just like
and he's got bullets in him.
Yeah, you can see it. I mean, in an action film, you could totally see that happening. Like they're less about like the plot and more about like convenience. Not like I'm saying this is a straight up action film.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of like a mystery kind of dealio.
Yeah. I think this movie really gets going with the footsteps scene. I love that scene so much because it's just like, it's scary. It's like he's back from the dead and he's coming and he's pissed.
Yeah.
But there doesn't have to be any dialogue to really tell you that. It's just the pure filmmaking.
Even though I thought it was stupid when I first saw it, I didn't understand what was going on. I thought my
this
copy
movie's glitching up.
Yeah, I thought my copy of the film was fucked up because I was like, "What the fuck?" It's like his footsteps are in a loop because like the lady was doing shit, but there's like no sound. And I was like,
"Yeah,
what?" And then when like you were like, "We should do this scene," and I was like, "Yeah, so that wasn't like a fucked up scene." Okay, I just was watching it and was for some reason super confused.
Yeah, the editing is very like experimental in this movie, and some cool stuff I learned about it is Lee Marvin was like super big at this time, like a huge star, and he had tons of power in Hollywood. And he basically could have final cut on any movie he was in. Like he was that big, and he transferred his power to John Boorman, so he basically could do whatever he wanted in this movie, which is why it's so weird.
He jumped off. I transferred my power to you.
He jumped off a building, Bam Margera style, with a skateboard,
and like imploded, like TMNT 3 style.
But like, if it hadn't been for that, the studio would have been like, "No, this editing is like way too weird."
He kind of
change it back,
shielded him, and was just like, whatever he wants to do is what I want to do.
Yep. So I thought that was very cool.
I think he made the wrong decision because this movie's fucked up, dude.
But what do you think of the editing? Because like throughout the movie, there's weird like flashbacks and like just not random, but like stuff you've seen previously inserted in at like strategic points.
It's weird because like in like Payback, they tell essentially the same story, but with really out any of that kind of crap, or not crap, it's stuff. And in this movie, they do it, and I feel like it kind of can be done either way. So I can't really say it wouldn't have worked without it. It's just it's unique because of it. Whereas like in Payback, it gets away with doing it without, telling the same story without doing it. So it's very like, I think like for Payback, it works for them not to do it because if they had just done the same thing, it would have just been like kind of like the same shit.
Yep, totally.
They could have totally flopped it where like Point Blank didn't do it and then Payback did do it. You know what I mean? So, but I think because it went first and it did this, it was definitely like, very different, especially for the time, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's almost like psychedelic, man. Whoa.
Yeah.
It's the 60s.
So we've got like the classic friend betraying the man and taking his wife storyline.
Yeah.
So I guess the hunter is essentially like about a dude that gets fucking cucked and like he gets left for dead.
Left for
the game, which I've never read.
And then his wife was like grabbing peels.
Seriously, dude, I was like, holy shit. So they have like. In this movie, it's very like it's also the era where stuff just goes. It's like, from the beginning to like 30 seconds of the movie starts, and then like the credits roll and Lee Marvin stands up like in the when he stands up after he's recovering from being like left on Alcatraz for dead, and the credits start rolling, and he just kind of pretends to stand still or whatever because they don't do a freeze frame. He's just like as they do like the credits or whatever. But this is back when like. I think they like were like, you have to put the credits at the beginning of the film and stuff. Before George Lucas or whatever was like, fuck that. Even though I don't know if he was the first one to do that, but like
I think he was.
Point Blank. They show the credits, and Picard plays his flute from that episode where he lives a life in minutes. I was like, oh, okay.
I didn't know that was Picard. Nice, nice trivia.
Nice trivia. But. I saw this and I was like, man, the Alcatraz, it looks like, a place for a zombie film. Like a fucking cobbler could be here. We already talked about...
I went back and read a chapter of that, which I hadn't looked at in like 15 years probably. Still holds up.
Yeah.
Not to toot my own horn.
It was like the never-ending story, too. Did you ever finish that? Or
Kind of.
Kind of?
Yeah.
I that was like, to me, I remember reading it and I was like, dude, this is so legit. And it's like, I'm sure I was the only one that thought it was that legit because for some reason, well, probably because we're friends, but it was like, that was the most out of control thing about that whole story is that I was one of the only people to live to the end. I was like, dude, I'd be the first one dead in the zombie apocalypse. So I have to thank you for having that much faith in me. But back to the story.
So the dude that screws him over is played by John Vernon.
Yes.
In his first role. Who
Vernon.
You know what I mean, Vern?
Yeah, Vernon.
He'll always be Dean Wormer from Animal House to me. That was like his finest hour, but...
He's definitely got like a voice that's very like... And I'm sure he did voice work at some point because it's like very like...
Yeah,
unique.
I think he did, but like... he's great in this, but he does something I've never seen in a movie before or since. Like, so Lee Marvin is able to infiltrate his hideout or whatever, and he catches him in bed. And John Vernon is so scared, he faints. He passes out. I was like, dude, for like 20 seconds, and then he comes to, and
this
he's like,
guy
whoa.
like beats out what's his face, Tiger Law from fucking Steel Justice. He like,
dude, I thought that was
he's
so
too
funny.
much of a puss to even run. He just faints in Lee Marvin's hands. It's like, Jesus.
So like I listened to the commentary and they were telling a story where like Lee Marvin initially didn't like John Vernon because he didn't think he was like strong enough to stand up to him on screen.
Oh yeah,
which maybe that's true. I don't know.
You mean as far as like their characters?
Yeah, and maybe because it was his first movie, but I don't agree with that. But I guess
I think their characters for sure are like, I think it's like Lee Marvin's character is way stronger than the other character.
Yeah, clearly.
But like, I if he's saying like as an actor, that's not true.
Yeah, I agree. But I guess at one point they were like rehearsing a fight scene, and Lee Marvin, they said Lee Marvin punched John Vernon so hard he cried. He made him cry. And I was like, good Lord, man, what a maniac.
Yeah, what an asshole.
But I think John Vernon's really good in this, and I love that touch that he's so scared he actually passes out.
Yeah, he's a great actor too. It's like, oh.
He's like Greg Turkington when he found out Tim was getting out of jail. You know,
they've been talking shit about him all the time. Wife talks about how Lee Marvin brought the man she liked better into her life from a reunion. It was like essentially Lee Marvin brought his own like downfall in.
Yeah.
So we got this scene with the car salesman hitting on a lady at a car lot. And like Lee Marvin puts on his seatbelt. He's like, "You don't need that, do you?" I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's just
like back then you're like, you're not a man if you wear a seatbelt.
Yeah, it was like, wait a minute, what? It was just so funny to see that kind of a thing because everybody puts on seatbelts. But then Lee Marvin takes him on a wild ride.
He beats up his car.
Yeah,
it's a great scene.
He's like, the guy gets in. He's like, I need to go somewhere real quick. He's like, okay, yeah. It's like Crazy Taxi. I was
day
like,
after day.
Yeah. I was just like, holy shit. It's just like, okay. He's like, you're not getting any money for me, mister. Yeah, it was fucking out of control. It reminded me of, what's it called? Popeye style.
Yeah, Popeye Doyle.
It's very, of that era when, like, you just had to you couldn't fake it. You had to fucking do it to do it, man.
Yep.
You know, so.
Good call.
Felt very visceral. So, they're at a cemetery and they're grave digging like ditches in my Dragula.
But they're not burning witches.
That's true. It was kind of bullshit. Like, I bet fucking Sherry Moon hates this movie. Yeah.
That's where I was like, this movie is so cool because there's just one shot of like his head and you see this freeway in the background.
Yeah.
And it's like, that just looks cool, man. It's like very artfully done.
Yeah.
But, so spoiler alert, I'm going to give this movie a 9.95, but I have one nitpick.
Shit pick.
When they go into like this psychedelic bar, and the dude is screaming, that is so annoying.
Lee Marvin at club, some singer won't shut the fuck up, sounds like a parrot being skinned alive.
It's very grating.
Yeah.
He's like Howard Dean style. Like,
I wasn't sure how you were going to be on that, but I was like, I'm writing this note down.
Sometimes
like,
there's stuff in movies that's just, I get what they're doing, but it's flat out annoying.
Well, it was almost like they were filming the movie and then some random band was there doing their thing and this guy was just being about as annoying as possible.
Yeah. If I was in that bar, I'd be like, check please.
Yeah.
Enough's enough.
If I was directing this film, I would have been like, okay, everybody stop. Wait. What the fuck are you doing, dude? You're ruining this fucking shot.
But it does make for a cool like fight scene because they're kind of fighting in the background.
They're fighting to get the fuck out of the fucking club.
Let me out of here.
Shit! So he gets jumped again, and as he's fighting, faces in the background like react to the fight. They're like, I mean, they're not. It's not like a computer. It's like it's psychedelic pictures that are being put on like stained glass, kind of thing, and they're just to the time of the actual fight. So.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
But we were talking about it this week. Like, he smashes a bottle on a dude's head, but like, so standard movie protocol is like,
sent me that, I was cracking up.
Anytime
it just blew up.
You smash a breakaway bottle, like, it's over someone's head,
yeah.
right? But in this movie, Lee Marvin's like, nope.
Yeah.
Right to the face as hard as I can.
His fucking nose.
And like, I don't care how fake that bottle was. It was full, and it was to the face as hard as he can. And Lee Marvin's like a huge beast.
Yeah.
Like, that dude got messed up bad.
Maybe Lee Marvin was just an asshole.
He's like you said, Steven Seagal and people.
Yeah.
But then, maybe my favorite part of this whole movie is when he's on the ground, like, struggling with the other dude, and he goes for the full-on Nard punch.
Yeah.
I was like, that is satisfying.
He's like John Clive Van Damme in it over here. So,
but even that was controversial at the time, because like, your hero is not supposed to fight dirty in Hollywood. But
it's true.
Yeah.
He fucked up. 1.95. So Reese after Walker. He wants his ass.
Nice.
It's hard to get in, but you'll never get out. I was like,
so he uses Angie Dickinson as bait, basically. Right. What'd you think
bait
of
is right.
Angie Dickinson in this movie?
I thought she was beautiful.
Yeah. She's definitely huge at the time as well, like a huge sex symbol back in the days.
Swing 60s, baby!
Sex symbol, baby!
Bring on the sexy stew!
Yeah, I always like to see her, and she's really good in this. And another thing I learned is, like, she'd worked with Lee Marvin before, and I guess they kind of weren't very friendly with each other.
Yeah.
So in that scene where she like starts hitting him,
she was like going nuts.
Real life, like unleashing her rage.
It seemed very like oh man, she's putting everything into this.
She was,
So
and Lee Marvin's so strong, like you can't hurt him. Like
yeah, he was just
he's just taking it, and he's like, "This is gonna look awesome on screen."
Yeah,
and it does.
Yeah. It looks real because it's real.
Yeah.
So no points because it wasn't acting.
It wasn't CGI.
It wasn't actual acting. She was pissed. Fuck her.
Yeah, that's true.
It's bullshit. Become an actress. Not a wactress. This Way to Heaven gets an elevator. Dude goes kiss noise. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, what?
Did you notice who one of his henchmen was? Like one of his bodyguards?
He seemed familiar, but...
Your boy, Sid Haig from THX 1138.
Jesus, he just
the guy who you thought was disgusting.
He is disgusting. He plays a bunch of fucking freaks. Yeah. Or towards the end of his life, he became like a. I mean, I guess I could give him more credit than Kane Hodder, who literally is just like choking people at conventions for a living. Don't choke me out, Kane Hodder, please. Reese is just jumping from woman to woman, Lynn to this new girl. I was just like, Jesus. And it's like, I guess you find out that, like, what's her name? What's Angie Dickinson? Chris. She was the sister of Lee Marvin's wife, right? Is that correct?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Because they said it seemed like
they had a history, but I don't remember.
Right? What the yeah. It could have just been maybe like they were talking about sisters as far as like friends or something. And he's like undressing her as they talk, and she's got like a bee dress on or something. I was just like, okay. I was like, a bee dress?
And he's wearing like a terry cloth t-shirt. And like, you don't see that anymore. Like, it's definitely the 60s.
Cherry glove, baby. Mal like passes out. We talked about that when he gets a gun pointed at him.
What'd you think of his demise?
So like, I want to give this movie all the praise in the world for like the practical effects, but this was not one of them.
It was fucking hilarious.
It also, like, the way that it was very, like, they filmed this on, like, a rotoscope or something, right. And...
It almost looks like stop motion.
Because, like, when he falls also in a way that, like, it's like he became the man that gravity forgot. Because he did, like, weird twists and flips as he went over.
So Lee Marvin, basically, he's in a towel or a blanket, and he grabs it, and he's like, whoa!
Yeah, he, like...
falls off the roof.
Tasmanian devil fucking spins him off the fucking top somehow. And then when he does, he's like... Whoa!
It's very silly.
It looks, it's like straight out of the TMNT 3 style. I was like, what?
It looks like something out of Decker.
Yeah, it looked very dodgy. So then, like, Lee Marvin goes to escape, and he goes into, like, this parking garage, and this guy's, like, firing down the garage. and the guy gets shot by the cops, and he's like, oh, he took my fucking leg. Fuck. But he does start being like, ow, what the fuck, my leg? And I'm like, what? He's just like shooting down the fucking, he's like, yeah. Like, what do you think was going to happen? There were cops right next to you when you started shooting into the parking garage. Another funny thing, Lee runs into this office and knocks a guy out instantly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man. I don't have a lot of notes that are funny.
Yeah, I mean,
but I have
what are you talking
fuck ton of funny notes for Payback.
Yeah, so basically he doesn't stop at killing Mal or Mal killing himself.
Pretty much finding everybody that was involved up the chain.
He's going all the way to the top.
Over. Yeah.
But there's a cool scene in the LA River where
it's like is this the same thing where they did the Terminator 2? Like,
yep.
What is it? Motorcycle and truck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's super iconic, and this is
it's always cool to see that.
Yeah.
But he basically sends a dude to his death, like, to get sniped.
Yeah, he takes the boss hostage, and like they had sent this guy that in the car earlier out there to like meet Walker with the money, and the sniper was going to kill both that guy, like the guy with the money and Walker, and just take care of it.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing was like whoever shows up, kill them. And like the boss shows up and he's trying to yell to him, but
don't do it.
Yeah, and like the guy can't even hear him, and he just kills fucking. And I think he doesn't even care. He just is like killing whoever is there, like
doing his job.
He was given instructions, and he kills them all and leaves like, just like looks on, and the guy like leaves, and then he's like finds out that the money that was in that parcel was just like paper.
Yeah. One funny thing is that sniper was played by James Sicking,
mm-hmm.
and he also played one of the assassins that comes to kill Sean Connery in Outland. I'm like, does this dude exclusively play snipers in movies? Like,
I guess
it's just something I noticed.
So we already talked about the ass beating from man to woman or woman to man.
Yeah. So what do you think of that house that like basically the ending of this movie takes place in?
It's kind of reminded me of like the kind of setup that like remember what Bond had that in that one movie where like the one that I picked or whatever where like they go to meet Bond,
Live and Let Die.
Yeah, and he has like that shagadelic pad.
Yeah, it's groovy, baby. Yeah. But that's a very famous house in LA, and I think they actually went to that same house in Lethal Weapon 1 or 2. You remember that? Because they're out by the swimming pool.
Oh, is that the one? Yeah, is that the one where like the kid drowns in the pool?
I don't remember.
It's not the one where he pulls it down with the car, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. But that house later was owned by Richard Donner, director of Lethal Weapon and Superman.
Hell yeah.
And also I learned a bit of trivia. The Beatles stayed there when they were touring in LA,
mm-hmm.
and they wrote that house inspired Blue Jay Way, the song. So nice trivia. Thanks, me.
Who are the Beatles?
Yeah, Paul McCartney. Ever heard of them?
So then she goes around leaving all the appliances on, and all the fighting leads to sex.
My favorite line in the movie is when she's like, "What's my last name?"
And yeah, I have that. Yeah, what's my first name? Yeah,
it's like that says everything
tit
about
for tat.
Yeah, that was great.
So Carroll Connor, hell yeah, this dude rules. He shows up, and it's like they're trying to get money, and from him, and the guy's like, I don't take the fucking terroristic threats, essentially. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, and then he shoots the phone. And he's like, well, if you want the money, you have to go to Alcatraz to pick it up. And it's like back where it all started, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then Fairfax, the guy above Carroll O'Connor, like, he shoots Carroll O'Connor, and then instead of coming out and getting the cash, he's just like, Walker sinks into the shadows, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
You see Carroll O'Connor's dead body, cut to credits, it's over.
I was like, boo! What the fuck is this? Why doesn't he get up and kick ass?
He should have played Walker.
He should have played every character. But no, yeah, it was.
So yeah, I mean,
it's a very of its time ending too. Like, just like this is it. The movie's over. Go the fuck home.
Yep. which I kind of appreciate.
Kind of.
So yeah, Point Blank, cool movie. I think everyone should see it.
Yeah.
9.95.
0. Complete lack of fucking direction. It was just shocking how fucking nobody knew what they were saying. No one had their lines memorized. No, completely overall recommended.
Cool.
So now let's move on to another film that was
Payback.
based on Hunter. Called I had 9.95 for that last one.
Nice.
Payback. So this came out in 1999. This is essentially the same kind of deal. This time starring Mel Gibson, Greg Henry, Maria Bello, David Pimier, a bunch of other people, but based on the novel The Hunter, just like the first one. There's also kind of a thing we're going to talk about here. I'm sure you'll probably have a lot more information about this than I do, but like in 2006, what the fuck is this guy?
Helgeland.
Thank you. He issued a director's cut that differs substantially from the version released by the studio, which was a theatrical cut versus the director's cut. And I watched the theatrical cut because Matt told me, watch that one because they're so different and stuff.
I'm more interested in talking about that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll definitely talk
about the differences and whatever as far as that. But essentially, it's the same thing. Where it's like, after a heist, in this one, he's not called Walker, he's called Porter. Is left for dead. Once he recovers, he seeks vengeance and wants his share of the money.
$70,000.
Yeah.
So I've watched Payback a lot of times because I really liked it. It was one of the first DVDs I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So when that director's cut came out, it was a mind-blowing experience to watch it because it was so much different.
Yeah, I don't know. You kind of talked about how it was almost like a different movie.
Yeah. Should I just talk about it now?
Yeah. What kind of was the idea behind this?
The story is this movie was Brian Helgeland's first directorial effort.
Mm-hmm.
He was a hot writer at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote L.A. Confidential, which was a huge movie back in the day. So this was his first directing gig, and basically the producers weren't happy with what he delivered, and basically took the movie away from him.
Payback, they weren't happy with Payback once they hit the theaters, I guess.
No, before once it was completed filming.
Oh.
They were like, this isn't commercial enough. It's not entertaining enough. So they did tons of reshoots and added new characters and basically changed a whole lot about it.
Okay.
And the big differences are, first, the look of the movie. Payback is very desaturated. It's very dark and gray, and there's not many colors. So I don't know why they really did that, to make it more of a noir, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has that feel for sure.
Yeah, but they added the narration, which
by Mel Brooks or whatever. Or
Mel Brooks. If Mel Brooks narrated this movie, that'd be wild.
Mel Gibson, which makes it even more like a noir.
Yeah, which I actually like that better.
I actually thought that was pretty cool. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't always love narration, but when it's in a noir, and Mel Gibson is great at doing it. They added all the needle drop songs.
Okay.
The James Brown and Jimi Hendrix and all this.
Oh yeah.
Ain't that a kick in the head? Basically all the music.
Okay.
Because it just had a more traditional score. And then, but the biggest difference is Chris Christopherson isn't even in the original. The main villain, you don't ever see who it is.
Oh, okay.
It's just a voice on the phone.
So the guy that essentially in
the whole subplot with
Point Blank or whatever, that fucks him over and takes the money, that character wasn't even really in this.
Yeah, the whole subplot with his son where they kidnap him and all that, none of he doesn't get tortured or anything like that.
Oh, okay. Even though, I thought you meant the guy that actually fucked him over.
No.
Okay.
The main dude at the end.
The guy kind of at the end that's what's his face?
Chris Christopherson.
But I mean the guy that's in the other version that's essentially you only see till the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the last difference is the ending of the movie is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Mel asks them to drop the money at this train station, and he goes to the train station, and there's all these henchmen waiting to kill him, and he systematically kills them all, but he gets gut shot. So at the end, he's dying basically.
Gut shot. I said gut shot.
So very different.
So that's the director's cut?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think I prefer the theatrical because it's just a little bit more like fun and like.
It's weird because usually director's cuts are generally like, for the most part, better.
It has a more serious tone to it than the theatrical cut. So.
But like after watching like the theatrical cut, I definitely wouldn't really like the director's cut probably.
Yeah, it's very different. It took all the like fun music drops out that has just kind of a low key score.
Some of those are kind of like what the fuck, but some of them do work.
Yeah, I agree. So that's the director's cut.
Interesting.
And they decided to do that like in 2006. Mm-hmm. They just gave him money to, make a new score and re-edit everything. And
pretty much do his original vision, I guess.
Yeah, because they thought they could sell DVDs. This was at like the height of DVD. Like
back when like you could actually sell a DVD, because nowadays they don't put anything on.
No one cares.
Interesting, huh?
So, what'd you think of Payback?
I don't know, man. I went on a journey with this film. I started off in one place and then completely different. So I started off kind of... We'll go through the notes here, and you'll be able to find out how I felt by the end. So, my first note says, a bunch of cigarettes in an ashtray, and this movie made this guy want to smoke!
That's for sure, man.
Yeah.
So, this is the best smoking I've ever seen in a movie. Like, Mel Gibson is out of control. He's taking, like, monster drags on these cigarettes, dude, and he's blowing, like, fat clouds.
The funny thing is, a lot of them kind of looked like fake, like CG.
Though, there's that... Like, no human could smoke that hard.
Yeah.
He's, like, sucking on these cigarettes like he's gasping for
But you know what I mean? Like, the smoke definitely seems enhanced.
He's like
yeah, I was like,
Jesus,
what?
Tone it down, dude. But I love it. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, I just thought that part was very, like, weird. I was like, what? This is cool, but, like, why is this so fake looking? I think it has a lot to do with the coloring of the film. Like you said,
it's unnatural.
Some of the stuff just makes it look like bad. Some of it works really well, though. Mel Gibson does a narration at the beginning of this, and then kind of pops back in from time to time to give words of wisdom, which is like...
I really like it.
It's always definitely interesting.
But he delivers it very well. Unlike another famous example is like Blade Runner, where they took out Harrison Ford's narration, but he was like typical Harrison Ford, like he's falling asleep reading this dialogue, and I'm like, Mel Gibson's doing a great job. So
I think there's something to be said for like narration being good, and sometimes even if it's delivered well, it kind of fucking over the film, because it's like if you put narration in, it's pretty well presumed that the character's not gonna die in the film. So unless I guess they cut to the end and he's like narrating as he dies, maybe, but I don't know.
This opening montage where he's basically like coming back to life.
He's turning into fucking like Spinny, like who's a bigger asshole, because he's like stealing from like and choking out a homeless guy and like stealing from a waitress and shit.
But dude, that homeless guy was the villain. He was lying about his blindness. Because Mel's like, I cured you.
I was like, fuck off. I hated this movie at the beginning. I was like, this sucks.
Jesus. That's probably my favorite part, is this montage of like him getting money and guns and screwing over a bunch of people, stealing tips.
Jesus. Yeah, steals the dude's
He's an
info.
anti-hero.
Nothing hero about it.
That's just mean.
Yeah. Anti-hero is kind of like a weird thing to say anyway. He's not helping anyone. He's just fucking over other people.
Yeah.
But he steals the dude's info and goes on like a shopping spree. He gets a gun.
He gets a nice looking T-bone steak.
Movie is pretty similar, almost to a fault. These were my beginning notes. So, Val in this, or like I guess their version of like Val is like less interesting. I think it's due to the actor. I don't know who this guy is.
Greg Henry as Val Resnick.
I guess I'll just go ahead and say it now. I'm gonna do a spoiler. I completely flipped on this. I hated this at the beginning, but
Good
by
Lord.
the end, I loved it.
Okay.
And like,
I wonder if it's because you watched Point Blank first, it influenced your
Well, no, I just thought this sucked at the beginning. It was kind of boring, and then fucking they started getting goofy with it, and it was way better. Like, the more stupid shit that happened in the film, the more I love this film. So the goofier this got, the more I was like, dude, this is awesome. But they also let the Val guy start playing things up, because at the beginning he was kind of just there, and then he started like playing up his character. And
I was going to say, so did you like him then? Because I think he's amazing in this movie.
I thought he was shit at the beginning, but I think like he was cracking me up.
Yeah, he's hilarious in this. Like Greg Henry, he's great and he's super funny.
But like,
I guess we'll talk about some specific.
Yeah. So it's kind of a little weird or a little different in this version. Mel Gibson like is cheating on his wife, so that's why she like turned on him, I guess.
Sorry. One more major thing about the director's cut is in the director's cut, he clarifies that he went out with Maria Bello before he met his wife. So that picture so they clarify that so he wasn't cheating on her, but also he beats up his wife in this before she dies. Like there's a scene where they're
like Mel Gibson beats his wife
he
before
punches her
she ODs.
Yeah, he punches her in the face and like throws her down. I'm like, they thought that was
in the director's cut?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's pretty rough, dude.
What's wrong with this fucker that made this film, man? So this is actually where I started to turn on this film for the better. This guy comes to the door and he tries to look through the fucking eye hole when that's not possible, and I go, oh shit. This is turning into like end of days territory here. And he says, "Where's Val?" Wrong answer. And he tears the nose ring. And when he puts the gun to the head, the guy turns into fucking like Rom. And he's like,
dude, it's like this kid who's like half the size of Mel Gibson. And he's destroying. Like, he's beating the hell
he's
out
like
of
a
him.
druggy dude. And like, he's like, and I'm like, holy shit, dude.
When he's punching that kid, it looks like he's about to kill him with punches.
Yeah. And
he's like so much bigger and stronger.
I was just like, okay, this is turning into like stupid action movie.
That's a great scene. I love that scene.
That's where I was like, okay, I'm all in for this because this is
right. Well, that's pretty early in the movie.
This is gonna be funny. Like I said, the acting by some of the dudes, I was like, this is cartoonish as hell, and like he's like, this goes. So then they go to these two crooked cops in like this like. I guess like David Paymer
Stegman
Arthur, who plays like this like gangster guy.
He's like a low level gangster, like drug dealer.
He plays it very like, I feel like it's almost like very like, it's almost like Jerry Lewis kind of, because it's goofy, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, your boy didn't make his delivery, and he's like, whoa, Artie. And I'm like, was that ADR? I was like, dude.
But I'm always happy to see Bill Duke pop up in the movie. That dude's awesome. His character gets screwed over hardcore in this.
Did you notice anything about these elevator doors when they closed? So these elevator doors close, and there's like a attractive woman in it, and the elevator doors close, and it goes like they like growl.
What?
Yes.
How did I miss that?
It was like so it was like a sound effect I think they put in like a sting, like some of the music stings, and it was like it was the lady that went up to like beat up Biff or whatever his name was.
Like,
like,
Lucy Liu?
Yeah.
Yeah. That
I didn't even know that was her until I saw the credits. I was like, what? And she goes up to do like cock and ball torture on him, essentially.
Yeah, like sadomasochism.
Yeah.
That was a very cool touch.
Yeah.
But I love when Greg Henry's like Stegman calls him. He's like, dude, some guy's looking for you. And he's like, who? You want to meet with Stegman?
Yeah.
No, President Nixon.
Yeah.
Of course, Stegman. Like the way he delivers that line is great.
I put this movie as zero subtlety. This is hilarious. Dog named Porter. And funny part, dude with the dominatrix woman, and Mel is about to like hit him, and she's like, allow me, and she like hits him, and he's like, starts to fight back, and he's like, "Let her do her work." And it was
a
like
great
that's
scene.
when I was cracking. Dude, this fucking movie is so. It's like a parody of the source material. I was cracking up.
That's a great
He's
scene.
beating his ass, and like he's like, "Yeah." Oh,
My
man.
favorite scene in the movie, you skipped over it though. It's when Greg Henry meets Stegman in that restaurant, and he tells him like Porter's looking for you, and he's like, "Wait, someone said about Porter? No, he was Porter." And did you like the look on his face? Did you notice his lip like starts twitching and stuff when he hears that? It's like, dude, this is awesome acting, but he's also being a huge jerk and like annoying everyone else in the restaurant.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, this guy's an idiot. What an asshole. Because he, like, some guy, people are looking at him, and he goes,
like, "What are you looking at?" And he goes
Yeah.
over and like pushes the dude and eats his French fries. I'm like, this is hilarious. I love it. And Stegman's like, "All right, this one's on me. Do I look like I'm reaching for my fucking wallet?"
Yeah. Character's a complete piece of shit.
Everyone is in this movie. They're all scumbags.
Yeah, it's true. I think you're more impressed with that guy than I am.
I think
I don't
it's
think he's
hilarious.
that great, but I think he's funny. So the lady says, "I got a few minutes," and he says, "So go boil an egg." I was like,
Great line.
eh. So then we got,
Did you notice the song was "Ain't That a Kick in the Head" while he was getting kicked in the head? I was like you said, it's
that's
not
also in
subtle.
the trailer. It's like, okay, dude. So then we've got like the greatest actor in this film to show up, William Devane.
Dude, I agree. Major Charles Rain.
He plays this kind of the same character though in a lot of these films where he's just imposing, but he's also just kind of like very not threatening to a degree.
Yeah.
In a lot of his films where he's very understanding.
I think no one could do this better than William Devane.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he looks like all American. He's got like the
Yeah.
big toothy grin, but he's also like menacing underneath.
Yeah.
I love him in this movie. He's putting on that lip balm and stuff.
Yeah.
Porter, I won't forget your name again.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like,
He's like so smarmy.
yeah, it's like, what? And then John Glover shows up in this movie as well as one of the henchmen.
Mm-hmm.
He's known for like Scrooged, and he was in one of the Batman films, and he's been in a lot of DC stuff too. He
Oh,
was
really?
in Gremlins, and
He was in a movie called 52 Pickup, where he
Mhm.
plays like one of the scariest villains I've ever seen in a movie.
nice. We might have to watch that because I really like that.
Roy
guy.
Scheider.
Yeah, John Glover is legit.
I didn't know you were a big fan.
Yeah, I met him. He's a really nice guy.
No, nice.
He also voiced the Riddler in the animated series for Batman, and he played Lex Luthor's dad in the show Smallville.
Well, I'll have to pick 52 Pickup because he's very, very scary in that.
Nice. It takes a lot of moxie to walk into our outfit and start whacking our guys around. I went, what? Whacking our guys around? He's like, ugh.
Because he beats up his bodyguards and he's like, impressive.
He's like, oh, you're whacking my dudes off? Cool. So I was on board, but this was when I was cracking. This is another milestone when I was like, oh my God. So you talked about like the drops and stuff where they added the music in. They added fucking Hulk Hogan's like theme into this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The fucking Jimi Hendrix standing next to a mountain.
Yeah.
So that starts playing. I go, what the fuck is happening here? Yeah, and I was just like, is Hogan gonna fucking show up in this? Like, why is this playing? And then randomly they play it for 5 seconds and then he gets his ass beat. I was like, was this necessary?
The answer is yes.
It was only necessary because it was related to Hogan.
I didn't know that was his theme song.
Yeah, and the WWE was the theme song for a bit because I don't know why. I think maybe he said he liked the song. But when I heard it, I was like, what the fuck? They almost cut off Mel Gibson's cock in the middle of the road.
Yeah, in the middle of a downtown area.
And then, like, the crooked cops, like, come to his rescue, I guess, or something. Crooked cops. Do they come any other way? If I was a little dumber, I could have joined the force myself. Yeah, a lot of the narration is pretty legit.
Yeah.
So, if I like skip over anything in chronological order, just tell me here. But I'm gonna talk about the part where like the one dude shows up to like essentially like come after like Mel Gibson's girlfriend at the time. He says hubba hubba. And I went, what?
It's like his catchphrase.
And then he kills like the dog, but then like after all this you find out the dog's fine. It was kind of like, what? Like the dog's like, bleh! So he's like about to rape her, but before he does, he says like one of the weirdest thing I've ever heard in a film. He says, who? Hubba hubba hubba, I knew I'd seen that ass before. Sweetie, I'm gonna fuck you 6 ways from Sunday. Which, that's wrong. It's 6 ways to Sunday. And I went, what? Because I had to look this up, and I was like, that sounds weird. And it's 6 ways to Sunday, because 6 ways from Sunday, it doesn't make it, it's like, what? And I was like, what is going on here? So I don't know if that was like a fuck up in the script, or like Biff, where like the character fucks that shit up.
I never would have noticed that.
It's so obvious. I was like, what? Then Mel Gibson saves her, and he keeps saying, like, it's tighter than a drum. It's tight as hell. Like, trying to get into the outfit or whatever. I was like, what's with this fucking dialogue?
The first time I saw this movie, and he puts the pillow over his face and murders him, like, that was genuinely shocking.
That cracked me the fuck up.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Because fucking when he shoots him, it makes, like, a stock silencer sound. Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Because he used the pillow as a silencer.
It's like, I was like, oh my god.
You got a light? No. Oh, what good are you?
Yeah, he's like, well, then you're dead. I was like, huh? That wasn't as bad because then, like, that was funny, but later on he comes back and the body's there and he's like, and you see the fucking hole in his head and that's like horrifying.
Yeah.
But like before that, I was like, you don't really see anything. Also, did you realize that this is another fucking movie we watched where an animal tips people off that there's a fucking something wrong?
Always a great trope.
The dog like tips fucking Mel Gibson off that there's a bomb under the bed because he's like looking under there, and then Mel Gibson's like, oh yeah, there's a fucking bomb under the bed.
He was a bomb sniffing dog. Literally.
John Glover says he's probably fucking her. And maybe the dog too. And the guy says, really? And I went, what? He was joking. So, yeah, they just go full, like, they don't give a fuck in this movie towards the end here.
Yeah, and I think...
it cracked me up. I was like, what the fuck? Because he cuts, like, the fuel lines, and somehow they didn't know he was doing it. And then, like, he does, like, End of Days, where he, like, fucking drops the match, and it goes forward, and they're like... and it, like, blows up. But would you say you think what?
So this is my main criticism of this movie. I think it kind of peters out towards the end. I think the stuff with Chris Christopherson's son is, like, really lame. Like, the whole...
I didn't think that needed to be in the film. Like,
yeah.
I felt like that was
It wasn't very
like,
well done, either.
Yeah.
It was kind of...
the only thing I could think of was, like... Obviously, this came later, but, like, it was done way better in, like, John Wick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, like, this I was like... Not only that, but, like... The main bad guy was only in the film for a little bit. Like, I almost could have seen them just cutting that guy out. Like,
it was all reshoots.
Yeah, that was unneeded.
But my question was, do you think Chris Christopherson is playing the same character from Christmas in Connecticut?
He called Christmas Goose.
I'd love me Christmas Goose.
Everyone's like, huh?
I think he's good in this movie, though. He's pretty threatening.
He's fine. It's just he's not needed.
Yeah,
it's like,
I agree.
There's too many villains because...
And then the ending isn't that satisfying, really. I mean, it's cool how he blows them up.
Well, not only that, but it's like... The one guy I felt was almost kind of like... fucked. Like, not the main villain, but the guy under him. Like, I forget what his name is. But like,
yeah.
The guy that, like, he comes and shoots his luggage or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to just let him go and shit.
Carter and Fairfax.
Yeah.
It was, shit, what's his name?
I couldn't even, like, find him. I was like, what?
Was he not in the credits?
Yeah, I couldn't find him in the credits.
He's super famous.
Right.
I'll think of it.
Maybe he's, like, taking out his dog shit.
But I like that scene, too, where he's making his henchmen hold up the suitcases, and he's like, you shot my suitcase? That's just mean, man. Yeah. That's just mean.
Yeah.
And it's true.
But yeah, what are the odds that freaking End of Days and now this movie blowing up a car in a funny fashion? Like,
It's a great trope.
Something that shouldn't even be a trope, but I guess it is. Cop juggling gun. Hey, nice balance. I went, what? I want to talk about William Devane's fucking death in this film.
That was great. Loved it.
One of the stupidest things I've ever seen on film. So funny. So he goes in to confront him, and unlike in like Point Blank where he shoots the phone, he actually fucking kills this character. He kills
William Devane.
Yeah, William Devane.
It's James Coburn, by the way.
Okay.
So, and like Flint himself.
Yeah. So like he fucking shoots him, and when he does, he like straight up like stretches out.
It's great.
For no reason. He's like, he goes, "Huh!" And then as he's dying, he says, "You just don't get it, you dumb fuck." And then like a lemon pops out of his mouth. Like, what the fuck was that about?
He was sucking on the lemon from his martini.
Was he?
Yeah.
Huh. Are you making that up?
No.
I thought you were fucking.
He had a twist of lemon. And he was sucking on it for some reason. And he was like, bah.
Yeah, I was like, what? I thought maybe that was either like his teeth came out or something. It was fucking weird.
It was really funny.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? So here's another thing that I was cracking up about. Mel Gibson like goes to kidnap like the boss's son, and he puts up a "Happy Birthday, Johnny" thing in a game.
This is so stupid.
And Mel is somehow able to see exactly where he is and when he stands up to celebrate, to know that that's the guy.
Because
it's Johnny, because he doesn't know what he looks
I
like.
know, but did you notice they were like, "Hey, that's me!
Yeah.
It's me, Johnny!"
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, no one, come on. That's ridiculous.
Even in the amount of time, he wouldn't have been able to find
in a
the
huge
guy.
arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But so
that's the kind of stuff
yeah.
is like, that doesn't quite work. It's pretty stupid. It's too stupid.
So it like happens, and they take him out to like, I guess like the woman is like, "Come on, let's like, like, your friends hired me, let's do it." And they go out to the limousine, and then they kidnap him, and I was like, okay. What's the matter? Cat got your crotch? I went, what the fuck kind of saying is that?
Yeah.
Mel Gibson says that, and I was like, that's one that could have been left on the
I know, or
floor.
like try another pass on that one.
Yeah. Mel Gibson frames the dirty cops. He puts like the one dude's badge that he stole like on the one guy's dead body that he killed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So here's more like fucking Three Stooges fucking lunacy in this film. I'm going to turn you into the syndicate. He flips the gun on him and he says, "You're not going to fucking kill me."
That's a hilarious scene.
And then Mel he turns into like a manimal and just like is like he like turns into like a werewolf and just starts slamming his head into the car, and I was like, they like didn't write any dialogue for him. He's like So like this is another scene that was like I thought it was ridiculous, but then it moves on to something even more ridiculous because like then like the triad show up with Lucy Liu and they're like fucking shooting into this car. And, like, he's holding up the one guy's body, and he's like, ooh, 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 ooh. He's like, my nice lady.
He's doing the dance of death.
And he's being shot while Mel Gibson's, like, holding him as a shield.
That was great.
And then he, like, rolls under the car and starts, like, shooting and all this other stuff. It's a bunch of action stuff.
I think that's very cool scene.
And it's very, like, goofy and stuff, and it's cool. But, like, then, like, they both have guns, and they both shoot, and they, like, have no ammo left like Lucy Liu and Mel Gibson. And he gets like Jack Blacked or with a billy club or something, but like it doesn't even like hit him. He like just faints from like being there. It looks very weird.
And we have the obligatory Mel Gibson gets tortured scene because you have to have that in every Mel Gibson movie.
It just was so unnecessary.
I know.
Also, it was like it turned into fucking Hostel because like,
yeah.
in what
It's like I was having fun until now, and
I
this
was
is
like, in what universe, like, does this make any, like, usually the action movie star gets out before this happens, or this is where he dies. Like, here it's like he gets 2 of his fucking toenails, like, or toes, like, crushed. Also, now that I think about it, this makes no fucking sense, because he gets tortured, but he had a plan the whole time?
Yeah.
So why didn't he
and his
give
plan,
up right away?
His plan relies on him being able to escape a trunk as he's tied up, which, like, if they would have just tied him a little tighter, he'd be dead, dude. Like, the bad plan.
Well, that's not even the worst part of this. The worst part of this is, like, why would you let 2 of your toes get crushed? Like, then say, I actually, this is where it is. And they say, we'll take you. Then he gets out and he, like, it's not like the bomb was on a timer. It was like, if you answer the phone, it blows up. So all he had to do was get to a phone and call it. They would answer. So it's not like it was like he had to wait till like 10 minutes and he had to stall for time. He just fucking got his toes crippled for no reason. Which,
sometimes reshoots don't work.
At the time, I was like, oh, this makes whatever. But then I was like, okay, this is even stupider than I fucking thought it was.
Yeah, this whole ending is not great.
It's like, it's kind of like, okay, that's kind of cool, use the bomb, but it's very action movie-ish, where it's like...
It is cool when his last line...
Yeah.
You shouldn't have trusted me.
Yeah!
That was cool.
Also, like, that he got 2 of his toes completely fucking crushed by a hammer, and he's still able to just act like no issues. Yeah. It was like... And then she's like, what happened to you? And he's like, I got hammered. I would have been like, what? Like,
that's stupid.
What? We made a deal. If she stopped hooking, I'd stop shooting people. I went, huh?
This is like, they're like, all right, we got to wrap this movie up as fast as possible and get out of here.
Too bad they didn't do that like 20 minutes ago. But my stuff here is like, I started out like hating this, but by the end I pretty much like loved it.
I love it from the beginning until the ending. It's pretty weak.
Yeah, I mean, like, the ending's weak, the beginning's kind of weak a little bit for me.
I disagree, but
well, that's okay.
We can agree to disagree.
You can be wrong. I can be right. I can be wrong. You can be right.
I'm gonna go 8.95. This movie is wildly entertaining, even with the problems we talked about.
Yeah, I think the ending kind of ruins it a bit. There's some stuff at the beginning, it's a little slow, but it does pick up pretty quickly, faster than a lot of movies. I'll probably give it like a 7. I won't be watching this movie anytime soon, but like, it's not a movie that I would tell somebody was like a bad movie, for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
It's definitely like the inferior adaptation.
Yeah.
I think in some parts it's more entertaining because it's funny. But it's almost because of the ineptitude of the movie. It's like an action film where like some of the stuff's just like, eh. Yeah.
It's just it doesn't quite.
It's weird.
It's like 75% there, you know?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like
This is what happens when you take a movie away from a director and do major reshoots. Like, it's just a mess.
But it's like the director's cut sounds like it's even worse. So it's like
things about it that didn't work. So
I feel like they fixed what they could with it, but like the original was fucking even worse. So it's like the original was probably unwatchable.
No, it's definitely watchable. It's just it's very different.
I haven't seen it, and yet I disagree.
It's not as fun.
Yeah, I mean I think that's really the thing going for this film though, is how fun it is. Because if why would you watch this if Point Blank is already a thing?
Yeah.
The reason why you should is because the theatrical cut is actually funny and entertaining, while from what you've told me, the director's cut is not as
more low key.
It's kind of like too serious, and I'm like, eh. But
they were going for a gritty 70s film,
yeah,
as opposed to like a wacky 90s. Like...
They were just kind of trying to remake the original, I guess. Which it's like, why? Yeah. Bad move. So, let's talk about next week.
I'm gonna do my best to remain positive as much as I can.
Yeah,
and hopeful.
So, what is next week? This is. I think we're gonna give a couple things here. We're gonna talk about this. Say we're gonna have this is the newest movie that we're gonna review at the time of this for sure. Like the newest movie we've ever done. This will be all about...
Well, every time we do a new movie, it's the newest movie we've ever done.
Not necessarily. This will be the newest movie we've ever done at time of filming, from movie to it coming out and stuff.
Fair enough.
So we're going to be talking about... Go with these jokes here. We'll see what you think about these. So, The Prince of Part-Time, The Archibald of Antiquities, and The Westminster of Whipping.
What?
Indiana Jones Week.
Archibald?
So...
How long were you working on that?
Probably like 5 minutes, if that. I'm pretty good, man.
You're like, I got to bed about 3:30.
Yeah. I should have wrote the script for Payback. Probably would have been better. The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones, which that movie was, or the show was also like kind of like shuffled around, and at one point I saw it was called like The Chronicles and stuff, because they also came out with like made for TV movies. We'll talk about a lot of that, I'm sure. And if we're watching that, we know what we're watching. What are we watching for the movie?
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, I wonder what this is all about. This whole Dial of Destiny shit.
You've never heard of Dial of Destiny?
Yeah. I guess this is just something they made up for the film. It's not like something that's ever existed. So, oh well, we'll see. Like you said, I guess we'll try to see what's going on here.
The Magical Ark, which definitely did exist.
I mean, it could have. I don't know.
So could a Dial of Destiny.
No.
What if it's just a bar of Dial soap?
That was the first thing I thought of when I heard Dial, was Dial soap.
Yeah.
But like
Indiana Jones and the Lysol skulls. It's like, eh?
But like the Ark of the Covenant and the spear and the Holy Grail are things that were actually talked about in mythos. The Dial of Destiny is something I've never fucking heard of before. Like,
get out your history books.
I'm pretty well versed in a bunch of shit. Like, I knew about the Crystal Skulls. They're actually things that were part of, like, you know, mythos and stuff. As much as I wasn't a huge fan of them basing a film about that, because it's very kind of like not as well known.
Yeah, they should have just based it off Dan Aykroyd's Crystal Skull vodka.
He's like, there are like 20 different alien species, and they will never come to Earth because we fight too much. And I was like, why is this documentary taking place in a hotel? Oh, wait, I know why. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know anything about this Dial of Destiny, but I guess we'll find out when we see the film. So that'll be interesting, because it'll be a pretty new film for our podcast. Usually we talk about older films, so this will be our definitive Indiana Jones episode, because I guess unless they ever do another one, we'll never talk about Indiana Jones again. Okay.
Disney will never make another entry in a beloved franchise.
Yeah. I'm assuming they'll probably at some point do like a TV show or something. Maybe they'll do like The Youngest Adventures of Indiana Jones. He's like
Indiana Jones babies. He's
like, I was born in 1899. I'm like, what? Okay. Do you have anything else to say about this? I think these were pretty. This is pretty interesting. I don't think we've done a week where like we had two things that were based off of a book, like, you know what I mean, like that I can think of. Mm-hmm. And they weren't like a remake. It was like they're both adaptation, like different adaptations of something like that.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Very cool.
All right.
Okay, man.
Another great episode.
Yeah, thanks for picking these films. They were both so great.
Hey, what is that? You hear that?
Oh yeah, now I do hear it.
Oh no.
It's payback time, boys. Jesus, I almost tripped over Gloria.
Getting up.
I'm like, hey, my great shots! Ready? Mm-hmm. Let's try this again. But when I said ready, I meant I wasn't ready. Hey, my great shots! There you go. How would one of us hear it before the other? That's a good question. Like, you're like, now I do.
You're laughing after like 2 seconds.
Nice acting.
on, it's on a loop. It'll start over in a second. I'm like, shoot an empty bed, but keep shooting it.
Yeah, I was like, are you stupid?
Maybe it's not on a loop.
Hello. Kind of close here, but maybe not. Like sitting close. Maybe we're not close. Maybe it's because you're wearing a suit. I just feel closer to you.
I feel closer to God.
Because I'm gonna kill you tonight.
Like Paul McCartney?
Yeah, I'm gonna send you to heaven before I send you to hell. It's like, wait, what does that mean?
You're like the ultimate pleasure.
Yeah. What are you gonna send Biden? Fucking kill you.